I have spent the last hour on the bathroom floor watching Supernatural on my iPad. Let's see if I can get through this. Hey besties, and welcome back. First things first, I'm going to apologize preemptively. I have a really bad case of food poisoning. I'm just getting over it, but if I look a hot mess, that's why. I have come to a realization over the last year or so. That realization is that makeup just isn't fun anymore. Not for me personally, but makeup itself isn't fun anymore. There have been a lot of little things that have been making me think makeup just isn't fun anymore. But finally, the tipping point was the other day. MAC announced their new Studio Tech Powder Foundation. They're redoing it. Okay, awesome. MAC is changing their packaging to look generic and just like every other brand's packaging. MAC powder used to be distinctive. I'm sorry, but it was always distinctive. And now it's just going to be flat, generic like every other brand. But it's not just them. Brands don't have personality anymore. I get that trends come and go. Right now, clean girl aesthetic is in. Everyone wants skincare and glass skin and less is more. I get it. I get that that's what's in. But where's the fun? I've brought my fiance to Ulta not too long ago, and just looking at some of the brands there, I brought him through the Benefit aisle, and I was trying to explain to him what the Benefit packaging used to be like. I brought him to Urban Decay, and I tried to explain to him what Urban Decay used to be like. And there's no way to explain the personality that these brands had based on what they have now. We'll start with one of the most obvious ones. There's not collection drops anymore. I remember back in the early days of beauty YouTube, every new MAC collection was a huge deal. I still have my Hello Kitty eyeshadow palette, actually. Like, she's cute, she's fun. She has personality. And the entire collection, people were waiting and waiting and waiting. I remember when the Rocky Horror collection dropped. I was waiting. I was in Canada when it dropped, and I had to find a MAC in Canada to get the Rocky Horror collection from before it sold out, because it was all sold out online. I'll never get over my first Urban Decay purchase. I still have it. I probably shouldn't be using it, but I do. The original Alice in Wonderland palette. It was everything I could have dreamed of and more. And you can probably tell it's well used. This was my everything. They released a second Alice in Wonderland palette. They did their Urban Decay Loves New York City palette, which I still love. They even did a Game of Thrones collection. Although that was towards the end of collections, but they did a Game of Thrones collection. I feel like the last mainstream brands that you will find in Ulta and Sephora, I'm not talking about indie brands. The last mainstream brand collection that I saw was what? The Too Faced Peach collection? If there was one since then, it didn't get the hype. There was hype for the Too Faced Peach collection, and that's the last collection that I remember there being hype about, people being so excited for. Nowadays, I feel like it's literally just indie brands. I know that Glamlight, for example, does a lot of collections. I got their entire Scream collection. I know that Melt did a collection with Bailey Sarian, which I have that as well. But those are indie brands. But that also brings me down another wormhole, which is influencers being the face of makeup. Don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to it, especially Bailey. I love Bailey, she's an absolute angel. But where's just the fun of having a theme for a collection instead of this is this content creator's favorite product, this is this content creator's favorite product, this content creator came out with eyeshadows. Where's the ideas behind them? I know that ColourPop will sometimes have drops, like they did the Powerpuff Girl one, which I have that, but I believe that was online only. I believe that was online only because I never once saw that in store. Where's the mainstream collections? Where's the hype? Where's the shelf space? People need to be excited for it, so brands need to give them a reason to be excited. Brands have also just lost their personality. This is what Stila eyeshadows used to look like. This is cardboard. This is recyclable, biodegradable, and this is how Stila eyeshadows used to come. This is fun. I'm sorry, but this packaging, it's cute, it's fun, it's different. I had old Urban Decay eyeshadows, but I can't find them. So editing Maya, insert a picture here. This is how Urban Decay eyeshadows used to look. How cute were they? Literally, it looks like a Subway token. That is the entire point of it. Urban Decay used to have the flavored and scented powder puffs. Urban Decay used to be all about the alternative style and leaning into grunge. I loved that. Urban Decay was the brand to go to for fun eyeshadows. Everyone went to Urban Decay for eyeliners because they knew they were the brand. If you wanted more alternative style makeup, they were the ones to go to. But now, all the packaging for makeup now just looks the same. Benefit used to have the cutest packaging. I was obsessed. Their lip glosses literally had men on it that when you moved it, they would go from being in a suit to being in their underwear. So cute, so not what you'd expect. And now Benefit's the same as everything else. Only now, Benefit has done something that actually makes me sad. And they focus so much on brows now that they've forgotten what built them their fan base. I'm gonna be honest, the boxed powders built it for me with Benefit. Benefit used to have personality that attracted fans. Now, all that it is eyebrow products for the most part. Eyebrow products or mascara. That's what Benefit is now. But I guess that realistically, we can't blame the makeup companies. They're trying to make everything look sleek and aesthetic for Instagram. But you can't blame Instagram either. I was talking to my friend who goes to art school, and she was telling me how they were teaching them about de-colorization. De-colorization is happening currently in our country. She said that the first place that you'll see it is in cars. How many fun, brightly colored cars do you see anymore? They're all, for the most part, some shade of black, white, or gray. Now and then you'll see a blue or a red or even a yellow car. But how often do you see cars in different colors? Everything is shifting to black, white, and gray. Everything is shifting towards neutral. There isn't as much color in the world anymore. And that's sad, but that's the thing. I love color. I miss color. I miss glitter. All I want is to do a bright yellow/orange sunset eye, put some glitter on it, and have a great day. That's my favorite thing. But brands aren't carrying those products anymore because they're not selling anymore. But they're not selling because brands aren't producing them. So it's really a catch-22 here. It also certainly hasn't helped that prices have skyrocketed. The Urban Decay Naked palette when it launched. No, it's not colorful, but it proves my other point. According to Temptalia's website, when the Naked palette launched, it cost $44. I thought it cost $48, so I double checked to check my math. Even if it cost $48, it was less than $50, okay? When the Naked palette launched, it was less than $50. To get a Naked palette now, they don't have the original anymore, obviously. So to get the Naked 3 now, which Sephora is still selling, $59. If I was right and it was $48, then that's $11 more. If Temptalia was right and it was $44, that's $15 more. People are being priced out of makeup. But also, people are now going more towards the higher end brands. Even when you would go into Ulta or you go into Sephora, you would always gravitate towards the high end, but there were always the fun eye-catching displays. There was Benefit, there was Too Faced, there was Urban Decay, there was Stila. What happened to Stila? But now you go in, everyone goes to Charlotte Tilbury. Or, I'm not gonna lie, I love the Pat McGrath eyeliner. I go to Pat McGrath a lot. Or people go to YSL. People go to these higher end brands. People want the more expensive, more luxury products. Partially because it is what they see online, but partially because without brands having personality, they're going to go to the brand that they see online all the time. I'll tell you, if MAC did another Rocky Horror collection, I would drop everything in a heartbeat and buy the entire MAC Rocky Horror collection. If they did a Coraline collection, that would be the best thing to happen in my life. There's so many things that could bring attention back to brands, and all of them tie into showing the brand's personality. The indie brands, the online brands. I love them because they have personality. Nomad Cosmetics. I literally met the founder of Nomad, and they are all about traveling. Traveling the world. The cosmetics are inspired by places they've traveled. That's personality. Melt. They did have a Nightmare Before Christmas collection, but it wasn't in stores. It wasn't mainstream. People didn't see it. If I saw that in stores, I would have bought it all right then and there. Instead I bought it online. But that's because I am already a fan of Melt Cosmetics. If I had never heard of Melt before, because I know that a lot of people haven't, if I'd never heard of them, I would not have known. But these are the brands I want to be supporting. I want to support the brands that have personality. I want to support the brands that don't just feel like corporate sellouts. Even MAC is selling out. And MAC was already pretty much a sellout. This is what their powder used to look like. It has a slight dome. Everyone knew this compact. Everybody knew this compact. Everyone knew that this was a MAC compact. I have an old Benefit powder here. It was so pretty. It's designed to look like a mirror. Also, this was the best thing ever for setting my under eye concealer, and I miss this terribly. If I can find a picture of my old Urban Decay setting powder, I will insert it here. It all had personality. And now everything looks the same. Even the colors that are available. MAC has downsized their lipstick collection and their eyeshadow collection so badly that I almost wept. I was devastated. I'll be honest though, I feel like now the fun is gone. Everybody now is just like, yeah, let's have glass skin, maybe a little bit of concealer, a little bit of liquid blush, like let's do this. Where is all the bright color? Where is all the fun? I remember back in the day, for lip gloss, everyone would pull out a MAC lip gloss that was in a ridiculous color. I know that my best friend Casey had a bright green one that she was absolutely obsessed with. Now everybody pulls out their Rhode lip gloss or their Summer Fridays lip gloss, and it's all just the same genericy. Is genericy even a word? I don't know, but I'm going with it. God help me because they were terrible, but even the EOS lip balms back in their day had more personality. They were brightly colored. They were strangely shaped. They had fun flavors. They were fun. They didn't do anything for my lips. They just left them waxy and gross. But they were fun. Even the drugstore brands used to be in on it. Maybelline used to have fun streetwear collections. Revlon had an entire streetwear campaign. So many brands used to have personality. Yes, the personality may have only been for a campaign, but personality was there. I remember just going to the mall and spending all day between MAC and Sephora because it could occupy me all day. Everything was so different from each other back then. And now everything's the same. And what happened to the love of eyeshadows? I'm going to be honest, I also miss the love of eyeshadows. Like, there's only so much that you can do to be artistic without doing eyeshadow. Eyeshadow is my favorite. I feel like everything in our world is becoming decolorized though. Obviously the cars. Everyone knows about millennial gray in homes. Even just the fashion. Everything's now just solid color, grays, navy blues, blacks, whites. Where's the fun? Where's the patterns? Where's the color? Our world is losing its color. I don't know, y'all. It's just very disheartening to see this happening to the makeup world. Again, I know plenty of indie and online only brands still have personality and still have collections. I know that. But why aren't they in the mainstream stores? People that are very into beauty will know about these other brands, but your average consumer won't. At the end of the day, clean girls in. And I get that part of that also probably has to do with COVID. No one wanted to do their makeup during COVID. No one was leaving the house during COVID and people got used to it. I feel like that was the death of color in makeup. And I feel like it never came back. Now it looks like we're headed into another recession, which sucks, but that's the way the climate looks right now. Not here to argue politics, just saying it looks like we're headed towards another recession. And I hope that it brings back the fun, colorful makeup. Because the last recession that we had brought Kesha and brought glitter and brought everyone in my college doing like stripes of color down their face to look like Kesha. It was wild. It was a time. Color was everywhere. People loved it. Loose pigments were flying off the shelves. I still have my bright blue loose pigment from MAC. It's one of my favorites. Fingers crossed if we get more recession era pop, we get more recession era bright makeup. Honestly, I miss when the days of being aesthetic were just depotting all your eyeshadows and putting them all into a Z palette, which don't get me started on how much I miss Makeup Geek and the Makeup Geek eyeshadows in my Z palette because those were everything. All right, I'll get off my soapbox now. I've ranted enough for y'all. It just breaks my heart to see all brands look the same. All brands go with the same marketing strategy. When brands used to have personality. You used to be able to find your favorite brand because it resonated with you. I guess Those days are no more. Alright besties, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you are not already and hit the bell, otherwise YouTube will never tell you when I post new videos. It's a little bit broken like that. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. What is your favorite makeup brand that still has personality? Do you know any that still have personality? Who had personality that you miss? Urban Decay is mine. Urban Decay is my brand with the personality that I miss the most. But also when Hard Candy used to be at Sephora, they had personality. I will see you in my next video. Bye.
I don't know, but I've been told the world outside is oh so cold. So cold.